Welcome once again to the free mock test offered by Professor Academy for the upcoming UGC NET English. In this session, we are going to look at 10 questions with. Let's go to the session. Edward King wrote, "I am not poet here. My pen is the spout where the rainwater of my eyes run out." Option A, John Milton. B, John Cleveland. C, Andrew Marvell. D, Abraham Cooley. See, in this question, the word Edward King is the key, but it's also a deceptive one. Let's check the answer. The answer is B, John Cleveland. As I mentioned before, the word Edward King, is deceptive because we already know John Milton, that's option A, wrote a pastoral elegy on Edward King, his friend. But here we might be misled because Edward King, someone also wrote an elegy on Edward King. So we already know Lycidas, which is an elegy on Edward King. But John Cleveland's elegy on Edward King, because John Cleveland also studied at Christ College. Milton also studied there. And John Cleveland was also a friend of Edward King. This piece of information is new to us. And this is John Cleveland's elegy titled "On the Memory of Mr. Edward King, Drowned in the Irish Seas." So in this poem, we have these lines. "I am no poet here. My pen is the spout where the rainwater of my eyes runs out." Let's go to the second question. Find the verse drama of Shelley whose plot is taken from the true story of Beatrice, who was tried and executed for the murder of her father, Count Francisco, in Rome in 1599. So you have four options or four verse dramas, all by Shelley. Which one concerns the story of Beatrice? So you have the plot here. Option A, the Cenci, CNCI. B, Oedipus Tyrannus. C, Hellas, HELLAS. D, Prometheus Unbound. The answer is A, the Cenci, CNCI. No, it's a verse tragedy published in 1819. The story is inspired from, or the plot of this work is inspired from a true story happened in Rome in 1599. So we have Beatrice Cenci, daughter of Countess Francisco Cenci. They had an incestuous relationship. And what the daughter did, she killed her father. Later, she was executed for patricide. So this incident intrigued Shelley. So he came out with this tragedy called, or verse tragedy called, the Cenci. Next question. Thy nature, it is too full of the milk of human kindness. Who describes whom in these lines from a Shakespearean play? Option A, Ophelia about Hamlet. B, Desdemona about Othello. C, Cordelia about Lear. D, Lady Macbeth about Macbeth. Spend some time. Who might have described, the person or the tragic hero as the milk of human kindness? Is it Hamlet, Othello, or Lear, Macbeth? Answer D, Lady Macbeth about Macbeth. Let's look at the context of this line. In Act 1, Scene 5 of Macbeth, Shakespeare's Scottish play. What happens? We have Lady Macbeth in Inverness, Macbeth's castle. She receives a letter from her husband in which she gets to know the prophecy that her husband is going to be the king of Scotland. But she thinks, yet do I fear thy nature? In the sense, she thinks Macbeth is not up to the mark. Macbeth has some weakness. See, if you want to be a king, you should, clear your path. But Macbeth is not capable of that. So she says, your nature is too full of the milk of human kindness. See, you are filled with human kindness. You can't be a ruthless king. In order to be a ruthless king, what you have to do, you have to kill King Duncan. So she says to catch the nearest way. The nearest way to become a king of Scotland is to kill King Duncan. And she tells herself that I'm going to assist you in doing so. So that is the context of the question. Next question. Find the French writer who wrote to the Russian writer Turgenev. 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 So this is what he wrote. I have always tried to live in an ivory tower, but a tide of shit is beating at its walls, threatening to undermine it. So find the French author who wrote this to the Russian writer Turgenev. B. Alexandre Dumas, Dumas, then G. Marcel Proust, Proust. Let's check the answer. Answer is A. Gustave Flaubert, Flaubert. So the French writer Gustave Flaubert wrote to the Russian novelist and writer Turgenev. I have always tried to live in an ivory tower, but a tide of shit is beating at its walls, threatening to undermine it. So what we can do now, see, you get questions from world literature. So you should be familiar with the classics from around the world. So let's look at Gustave Flaubert. He is known for this novel, Madame Bovary. So what you can do, you can read the summary of this work, or if you get time, you can read this novel. This novel is an example of naturalism. So now your job as an aspirant of NET, read about naturalism. In the similar way, we have the Russian writer Turgenev, known for his famous novel, Fathers and Sons, in which he introduced a concept called nihilism, Nihilism. Now check out nihilism and naturalism so that your preparation for NET begins now. Then other options. So you have French writers, Alexandre Dumas, known for his classic historical romance, The Three Musketeers. So you can answer in the comment section. So who are, or what are the names of these three musketeers? Then we have Jean Genet, Genet, his novel, Our Lady of the Flowers. But most often we get questions related to his autobiography. So find out the name of the autobiography by Jean Genet. Then we have Marcel Proust, In Search of Lost Time, which is a novel sequence of 7 novels. So find out the first novel of this work, In Search of Lost Time. Even the title, In Search of Lost Time, is also translated as another title, another name. There is another name for this title. So what's the alternative title or alternative translation of this collective title called In Search of Lost Time? This work is important because it's a classic example of stream of consciousness technique. So when we think of stream of consciousness technique, we think of Virginia Woolf, James Joyce, William Faulkner, and others, along with Marcel Proust. And also, let me know in the comment section who coined the term stream of consciousness. Next question. Of the following plays by Aeschylus, Aeschylus, of the following plays by Aeschylus, which one is not a part of the Oresteia trilogy, Orestia? Option A, 7 Against Thebes. B, Agamemnon. C, Libation Bearers, Libation, Libation Bearers. D, Eumenides, Eumenides. The answer, option A, 7 Against Thebes, which was also written by Aeschylus, but the question is the Oresteia trilogy. So we already had got questions related to this topic, Oresteia trilogy. So this is the Oresteia trilogy by Aeschylus, who is considered the father of Greek tragedy. So when we say Oresteia trilogy, we have three works: Agamemnon, then Libation Barrett, then Eumenides. In one of the NET exams, there was a twist. So instead of giving the English translation for the second work, Libation Barrett, this was the title. The Greek title was given Choephoroi. So what you can do, sometimes they give the original title instead of the translation. So this was the question in one of the NET exams. So we have to be careful about that. So anyway, what we learned from this question, 7 Against Thebes is also a play by Aeschylus. Right. Next, spot the right chronological sequence. So you have 4 works. They are arranged in different sequence. So you have to find the right chronological sequence. So you have to find which work came first, then probably second, third, and fourth. Option A, lyrical ballads, songs of innocence, men and women, Mermion. That's first sequence. Second, lyrical ballads, men and women, songs of innocence, Mermion. C, songs of innocence, lyrical ballads, Mermion, men and women. D, songs of innocence, Mermion, lyrical ballads, men and women. So in order to crack this question, see, this type of question is considered tough. So when you get tough questions, do not panic in it, when you write the exam, because a tough question is a tough for all. So everybody, will struggle to answer this question. So sometimes you have to eliminate options or listen to your instinct, and do not, worry yourself about this sequence, a chronological sequence. You have to be good at basic questions and other questions. So do not be bothered about this type of questions. But anyway, in order to crack it, first, who wrote these works. So lyrical ballads, anyone can answer. Songs of innocence, men and women, and Mermion. If you do not know the name of the author, then it's a tough to crack. At least you know the name of the author. You can arrange these authors chronologically, at least. If you know Songs of Innocence by Blake, then lyrical ballads, Wordsworth and Coleridge, who came first? Then automatically you can eliminate 2 options. Then Mermion, Walter Scott. Then Men and Women, Browning. Then if you know this, definitely you can eliminate 2 options. Then you are left with 2 options. Anyway, the answer is C. Songs of Innocence, lyrical ballads, Mermion, Men and Women. So this is the sequence. William Blake's Songs of Innocence came in 1789. Then we have lyrical ballads by Wordsworth and Coleridge in 1798. Then Walter Scott's ballad romance Mermion, 1808. Then Robert Browning's poetry collection, Men and Women, 1855. So here's a question for you. How many poems are there in Browning's collection, Men and Women? You can answer this. And also get to know the subtitle of Mermion, A Tale of Flodden Field, Flodden, Flodden Field. Okay, next question. Identify the Marxist term for the working classes. So which term is used to refer to the working classes? Option A, dialectic. B, fetish. C, proletariat. D, bourgeoisie. Answer C, proletariat. See, these 2 terms are often used in Marxist criticism or related to Marxism. Proletariat refers to the working class. Bourgeois or bourgeoisie refers to the owning class, the ruling class. These are the 2 basic terms in Marxism or Marxist criticism. And the other terms are also related to Marxist criticism, dialectic and fetish. You can look up these terms in a standard dictionary or glossary of terms. But anyway, We have Frederick Engels and Karl Marx, the Communist Manifesto in 1848, where they talk about the clash between or the struggle between the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. And this is the famous statement that came in the Communist Manifesto. The history of all hitherto existing society is the history of class struggles. So in order to avoid this, we have to, or there should not be any private property. Property should be owned by the state. So they emphasize state ownership to abolish this class struggle or the class divide between the proletariat and the bourgeoisie. Next. Which critic died at the age of 64 from injuries suffered after being knocked down by a laundry van? Option A, Jacques Derrida. B, Roland Barthes, Barthes, but is pronounced Barthes. Then C, Sigmund Freud. D, Jacques Lacan. Answer B, Roland Barthes. See, when we say Roland Barthes, which of his essays comes to your mind? Because he is known for a famous essay in which he declares is the death of the author. So answer, Roland Barthes. So Roland Barthes was the one who was knocked down by a laundry van and he sustained injuries and he died because of those injuries. But ironically, he was the one who declared the death of the author. And he was both a structuralist and post-structuralist. As a structuralist, he wrote this work called Mythologies, in which he analyzes science in everyday life. So he discusses detergents, he discusses wrestling, sports, menu cards. He explores semiotic system in everyday life. Next, which poet produced the modern adaptation of the 15th century morality play Everyman? So we all know that Everyman is a morality play, 15th century morality play. So which poet came out with a modern adaptation of it? Option A, Seamus Heaney. B, Ezra Pound. C, Carol Ann Duffy. D, Ted Hughes. Answer C, Carol Ann Duffy. So you should read about Carol Ann Duffy because she is the first women poet laureate of Britain from 2009 to 2019. And she is known for her famous collection and the title poem, Standing Female Nude, which is an often prescribed poem. So when you prepare for NET exam, always start your preparation with your own syllabus, the syllabus you studied for your BA and MA, or any other syllabus you have, because most of the time you get questions from prescribed syllabuses, from around India. So that's the best way to start your preparation. Next. So here is a passage from the novel, The Great Gatsby by the American writer, Scott Fitzgerald. Let's read it. I told him the truth, he said. He here refers to Tom. He came to the door while we were getting ready to leave. And when I sent down word that we weren't in, he tried to force his way upstairs. He was crazy enough to kill me if I had not told him who owned the car. His hand was on a revolver in his pocket. Every minute he was in the house. So we get a vague kind of a situation. So Tom is confessing the name of the owner of a particular car, and he was threatened by someone. Okay. So in this passage, we get to know a kind of a vague picture that Tom was threatened by someone, and he revealed the name of the owner of a particular car. And this is the question. But this kind of a question is tough. See, when it comes to reading comprehension related to language, So you get a passage, you read once, twice, at least you know the context, you are able to answer. But when it comes to literature, you know, reading comprehension concerning literature, it's tough. Unless you know, or unless you know the ending or the beginning or the plot of a particular novel or a poem, it's tough to answer. So this is the nature of this question. So here is the question. In this passage from Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby, it is revealed that Dash had visited Tom Buchanan and with the help of a revolver forced him to reveal the name of the owner of the hit and run car. Option A, J. Gatsby. B. Daisy Buchanan. C. Nick Carraway. D. George Wilson. Answer D. George Wilson. See, in order to answer this question, you should know the ending of this classic novel called The Great Gatsby by Scott Fitzgerald. So what's the end? What's the story? So we have Jay Gatsby, who is in love with Daisy Buchanan. Once they were lovers. Now Daisy and Tom, they are husband and wife, right? And we have the narrator of this novel, Nick Carraway. And towards the end, what happens? Jay Gatsby and Daisy Buchanan, they travel in a car, but Daisy was the one who was driving the car. She hit a lady, wife of George Wilson, Myrtle. So Myrtle died on the spot. George Wilson thought, or he wanted to find the killer. So he went to Tom Buchanan and threatened him to reveal the name of the owner of that hit and run car. So Tom Buchanan pointed out at Jay Gatsby, but Daisy was the one who was driving the car. So George Wilson went to Jay Gatsby and he shot Jay Gatsby to death, and he also committed suicide. So this is the end of that novel. And it's narrated by Nick Carraway, right? Unless you know the ending of this novel, it is tough to answer this question. So in order to crack these kinds of questions, what you can do, read the endings or beginnings or at least the plot of classic works. So you can read about Hemingway, Old Man and the Sea, or you can read about Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, Mark Twain. So read classic novels and the plots of those novels. Okay. So with this, we end today's session. So we discussed 10 questions and analyzed those 10 questions. And tomorrow we will continue with this series. We'll discuss another 10 questions, options, answers, and everything. So admissions are open for UGC NET and TNSET in Professor Academy. We are offering courses for English, management, commerce, education, computer science, economics, law, psychology, Tamil, history, geography, home science, sociology, social work, life science, physical science, chemical science, and mathematical science. So if you want to join the course, you can contact these two numbers, 7070701005 or 7070701009. So thank you so much. All the best for your preparation. See you tomorrow.